Welcome everyone to Plus Cards Podcast, a show where we break down the video game news of the week. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host and partner in crime, Gavin Jones. Gavin, how the hell are you?
Ooh, I'm feeling sexy right now. That's the
You gotta feel
that's
yourself.
what happens when I let my mouth go and I'm not actually thinking about what I'm saying. I'm
You mean me
working on
90% of the time, or?
That is yeah. No, that's pretty well most of the time. There is no I think we talked about that, the whole concept of like the inner monologue and not thinking about what you're saying right before you're saying it or whatever. Like, so there's definitely no filter that comes with that. Which I'm still confused. I was thinking about the other day. I'm like, I wonder if I could do that, the inner monologue thing.
Yeah, you don't have that for some reason because you're insane or whatever. That's all I have is, especially when you're trying to go to sleep at night, you can't turn that shit off. It's just constantly going. But maybe
it's such a weird. Well, I'm confused too then with the whole. Are you thinking the words in your head right before you as you're saying them when you say them? It doesn't.
I think if you were to actually like break down and see the code, they're happening probably before, but it doesn't feel like. I feel like they're just happening, in real time. But yeah, I'm sure you could actually see there's a delay. That reminds me, over the weekend I was skateboarding and I fell. I fucking ate it pretty hard, and for that split second when I'm falling, I'm like, okay, oh fuck, I'm falling. Make sure you kind of like adjust as well as you can. I had my phone in my hand because I was recording it like a fucking asshole, and then I fell. And I had to just like ditch the phone, and it was all like these calculations as I'm falling. Of course, once I actually hit the ground, I did none of that. It just kind of like I went with it and just fell. But like I had these calculations going that I could feel for a very fraction of a second, but I didn't do that. I just ended up falling. But it is what it is.
It's just got me thinking of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah,
with Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Which I honestly thought that's how it was gonna go in that movie, where he like comes up with this whole plan in his head, and then it just goes completely awry.
Right. Nice. Well, what'd you do? We saw a lot of each other over the weekend, but play any games, do any cool stuff?
We did. I played a tiny bit of Teamfight Tactics again because I have a problem. I not really much in terms of game wise. I did after the press conference. So there was these press conferences on this weekend. I guess I played a little Slay the Spire. But one of them was this. I think they were called New Blood or First Blood or something like that was the name of the publisher. Hold on, it'll take me a second to pull it up.
Yeah.
No, don't launch the game. No, I just. Yeah.
Well, now it's a let's play. We're gonna watch you play this game, Kev.
But they put out these really cool games during the PC gaming show, and they're super like retro and cool and fast paced. Now
I just watched a trailer for this, the game you were talking about, right? I think it's that first person shooter. There's a demo for it.
There was a few different ones,
okay.
but you're probably talking about the free one, I'm guessing, that's
First
like
Blood?
trending on Steam right now.
Or no,
no,
Ultra
First
Kill.
Blood is the Ultra Kill.
That's one of the ones that's from that dev, from that publisher. But
it could be. That might be the one. That might be one of the ones I bought. I think they showed off like a bunch of different games. A few of them have been out for a while, like Dusk, which I finally broke down and bought because this thing never goes on sale. And it's super fun. And currently taking forever to load. So I can end it. But yeah, there was that really cool like retro style. And you're diving around and shooting, and it's really fun. It does kind of feel samey after a while, and you can definitely jump out of the bounds of the map constantly. So I have to. You can do it on purpose. I've done it a few times on accident, and it's really frustrating because it sends you all the way back to the start of the level. What was it called?
Gotcha.
Maximum Action is the name of the game.
I want to change my name to that. That's fucking awesome.
Maximilian Action.
Do you remember when I went to Perry Tech, one of the art teachers there, her name was Jamaica Jones, and she, a dope name, she changed it, right? But her friend, she had another friend that was called America Jones or America Freedom. He changed his name to that, sure. And she just had a group of friends that were just saying fuck it and just creating their own names. And I want to
America's a
live that
pretty
life.
common name though. Like
That's true. Yeah, yeah. Oh no,
Jamaica, not.
it was badass America Jones. How do you top that? I mean,
I
you send
think
that guy in and he defeats ISIS alone. Like, how do you top that?
I think the one I have was back when I worked at Pop Murphy's. There was this customer that would call in regular, and his name was Madness, and he talked exactly like that.
You
So
have
he'd
to. You have to.
order his pizza, and this is Madness. Okay, yeah, all right, sure. He was
And
an
he kicks the
asshole,
door
though.
open like Leonidas on those 300.
Yeah, yeah. So that was, which I wonder if it came from the same like. So I know in Denmark a pretty common name is Mads, like Mads Mikkelsen,
Oh,
famous
okay, sure.
actor.
Yep.
So I wonder if it came from the same kind of root. Probably not. He probably just had weirdo parents, or he named his dumbass that.
Yeah.
But
Which
yeah, that
it's
was a
funny
weird one.
because like over the past years, you have these celebrities that name their kids like Apple or something that seems dumb and just like it's a news little blip. At the same time, it's weird for us to like keep recycling these old names of dead people. It makes more sense to just create this new stuff, and especially if you can create a dope name, go for it. So I've kind of turned my whole perspective on that. Like if I with 5 kids or whatever, if I change my name, I'm going with something awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's fair. And like it kind of, there was a meme I saw right before this the show of it's like a guy with a giant stretched out brain, and it's like the first time I hear a movie quote, and then he's just sitting there like drooling in the corner, like the second someone says their name.
Yeah.
It's just
I
in
could
one
be
ear.
mid handshake and just already deleting that name in my brain. I'm terrible with that. Like when I meet somebody, I'm the worst.
It's definitely one of those cases of remember the name, focus, focus, focus. Shit, what did they say?
I stopped breathing. I stopped. My heart stopped beating. Like it just removes all that code, and you're just focusing on that.
Yeah, yeah. So more memorable names, I think. Yeah,
That would help.
that'll.
You can go with like Elon Musk and Grimes. What was their name? Like it was a fucking computer code, or there was a Konami code or something. What was the name of their kid? It was like
What's the
Archangel.
actual name? How's it actually supposed to be pronounced?
I don't know. It's like Archangel something. There's these weird, they're proper like characters
Jesus
for whatever.
Christ.
But yeah, at the same time, kind of dope. But how do you pronounce that? I don't know. But they're not going to a regular public school anyways. I don't know if they're going to like a VR school. Like
Right.
that kid's gonna be on his own for sure anyways. So
Can we just not pull this stupid shit on our kids? Like, come on.
yeah, they don't have a choice. It's kind of fucked up at the same time. So, but it's all
Yeah.
that's being a kid. Hey, you don't have a choice. It's like I pay your bills. You live here. I'm naming you whatever the fuck I want, and then when you're 18, you can deal with it.
Yeah. That I feel like the age in which you can rename yourself should, well, maybe not. I was gonna say should be
Yeah.
lower, but
No. You got kids with like face tattoos at 16. No, you gotta wait.
Kid's actually gonna rename themselves Takashi 69 or whatever. I mean, on that note, did you know, completely off topic, but Mr. T
Go for it.
legally changed his name to, his first name is Mr., last name is fucking T.
So
And
if you
he
want to be
did
real
this-
proper, do you go Mr. T?
I feel like the answer is no. I feel like he is void. Well, no, it'd still be Mr. T because you go first name, or you do
But
Mr. and then the last name, so it still works. But yeah, he did that because he felt that the word Mr. demands a large amount of respect. You want everyone to respect him, and that was
gotcha. And no one's
I mean,
gonna
hey.
disrespect him for sure. Like, damn. So if he's ever knighted somehow, then he's Sir
Mr. T.
Mr. T.
Yeah,
that's a baller move right there. That's what I'm doing.
But yeah, what about you? Did you get up to playing anything this weekend?
I did. Yeah, I played a little bit. I actually jumped pretty hard into Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone. They had a new season.
There you go.
And I kind of like will play maybe like 1 or 2 matches. Whenever I do dip in, I get demolished and I just like put that game away. But something clicked over the weekend where I was doing pretty well and just playing over and over and over again. Something about that loop, I just got caught in it, and it was really fun. And I don't know what the new season really added. There's like some character stuff you can buy and bullshit, but it's the same map. But it's just that core gameplay. I have a blast with it. And I was definitely like rage quitting a couple times, but I kept jumping back in, and I was having fun. And it hadn't clicked for me like that, like it has in the past for some reason. So, but yeah, having
Yeah.
that, playing that, having fun,
It's a hella, I mean, it's solid, and it's great to watch too. It's,
right? I want to
they
try
did.
it when I get my PC up and running. Like my graphics card, I'd send it out. I'm getting the new one. I
Mhm.
want to try it on PC. I
I
know
thought
it's
you
like
got the new one.
no, I sent. It's a whole fucking drama thing. I uh, returned my PC, my graphics card, because there was like a better deal on one that was better for like $50 more. So I sent it in, but I
Okay.
actually was sending in another item to Newegg. So I printed off the same shipping label on two different packages. So one showed tracking, which is like this $40 like thing for RAM, like it's a little like add-on thing with like with lights on it. That showed tracking, but my like $300 graphics card showed nothing. Like it just disappeared. And so I was stressed out, sweating bullets. Just like today, I got a email from Newegg saying they found it. They're gonna figure it out. But it was pretty nerve wracking for a while. So once I get that refund, I can get that new graphics card, and all is well. But it's for the time being, my PC is just in the shop basically, just set up and looking pretty, but no games on it right now.
Fair enough, fair enough. I was
The
gonna
whole
send
thing,
you something. We should try that one game that was announced. It looks fun. But again, your PC's out of commission.
what is it called?
Um 2 seconds. It's a new top seller. But that was another
Mm,
New Blood game, but it's free. And I
okay.
like their announcement showing it. Yeah, it's been in early access for a while, and now we're releasing it for free because I don't know, we hate money. Um
That's a cool
is it
publisher. So it's New Blood is what they're called. I'm gonna keep an eye on them. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of old school style stuff.
Hmm.
What's it called? Blood?
Is it a
New
first
Blood.
person shooter?
Yes. So it's
Mm,
like I think a team of 11 people trying to escape, but somebody's like secretly an alien, which has been done a few different times in games.
that's awesome.
Um, hmm, maybe I can't. I don't know.
But yeah, we'll figure it out. But it's you said it's free. It's actually out right now.
Yeah, totally free.
Gotcha.
Ups to
Nice.
grabs.
There is a new game that's now crossplay that we could actually play with each other. It is No Man's Sky. That was one of the news articles, but that was announced that
Oh,
it's now
that's
going
right.
crossplay. I think
Have
it's
you
yeah, it's
played it on
PC.
console then?
I've only played on console, yeah, on PlayStation 4. I think I downloaded the Xbox version because it is free on Game Pass, either happening now or it has happened or it's coming up. But yeah, so I have it on console, and it's fun. I've jumped in every once in a while with the new updates. It never like latches on where I keep playing it, but maybe with a buddy, like we could just fuck around and be idiots in space. Like that actually be pretty fun.
It could be fun. I'd be curious to know how long you have to play before you can meet up with someone. Um,
Mm. Well, I think they made that easier, right? Because before it was insanely hard, and when you do find someone, they'd show up as like this glowing orb. I think they fixed all that.
yeah,
I'm assuming there's a lobby now of some sort you can connect because they're really driving that hard. Where you can go with buddies with I think at least four people and roam around, and what you do
yeah.
they see, and vice versa.
It could it could honestly be stressful because I knew when I was playing, I was getting a little stressed. I was struggling to find fuel, or specifically launching fuel, so I
Yeah,
could fly once I got her up in the air. But getting her up in the air was a constant struggle.
yeah. I know early on
So
the resource management was really tough, and they just it was just kind of brutal, and it became not fun anymore. And I think they've adjusted that where it's actually a bit more just easy to do stuff because yeah, I'd be trapped on planets, trapped so much where I couldn't leave because it'd be like a toxic planet where you can't leave your little spaceship, and I would run out of materials all the time. It was a whole thing. I think it's easier now because you are trying to
mhm,
build that like multiplayer aspect of it. But we talk about it all the time. But it's like what a success story. I mean, for them to just like put their heads down and just keep working on it. And I feel like this is stuff that they envisioned they could do, but that whole release was just like not handled well with what they were promising, and they were eventually able to achieve it. But it took time, and that's not how it was advertised at the time.
yeah, I'll be curious to see. I know they probably I think they have another big announcement coming from that dev, and I'll be curious to kind of see what's all included in that. So far, it's been nuts. I was a little disappointed by the trailer I saw for them at one of these events where it was their other game, whatever it's called, like
It's that
Campfire or
Zelda like
something.
game. Yeah, I think it is Campfire.
Yeah, and they showed basically nothing new. So it was kind of like, why even have this?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But another game we played, we didn't do the best social distancing. We did Cards Against Humanity this weekend though, and that was pretty fun.
I do enjoy that game. Man, it's a blast. I wonder if I think we just need to get more expansion cards because there's some cards that I keep seeing over and over again. Even though it's like one of my
Right.
cousins has that huge box, but you'll
Yeah,
still
he
even
has
though
the big black box.
yeah,
Yeah, I suppose that's true. There's other similar games. Like I would still recommend checking out that Side Night and Happiness kind of variant of it. That seems pretty cool. I still think y'all are ready for some more advanced games.
I
But
think
we'll
you're
have
right.
to work our way into it. And it's tricky too. While we're trying to stay kind of distance, like playing Cards Against Humanity, we were still pretty spread out.
Yeah,
But a lot of this stuff requires you to be kind of elbow to elbow, so it's tricky kind of
right.
handling that balance.
Yeah, I think we are ready for that. Like in our group of friends and family, it'd be cool to add the whole aspect of storyline or characters. Like I think we would be able to improvise and like create stuff. I feel like that's where the fun
Oh,
comes from
you're
that
thinking
style
like
of
a
game.
D&D?
Well, something that's that like a light version where you can still I don't know if it exists. I'm sure there is because there's a million board games, but something that's sort of like Cards Against Humanity, but you can add where maybe you already have the conversations or the characters in the mix, so you can kind of randomly
Interesting.
be assigned this kind of person, and then you tackle that. But I don't know, or we just we stumbled upon a cool new idea we can create somehow. But yeah,
I guess you could kinda do there's a game called Munchkin, but a lot of people have kinda mixed feelings on that one because it's sort of like going through a dungeon, but you're trying to get the most gold and kinda screw people over. Um, I've heard the Binding of Isaac version of it is kinda better, but
mm.
the overall, the artwork is kinda gross. There's a lot of poop and wieners.
That's
So
right up
it's
my
definitely
alley.
not
That's all I talk about.
I I think it's great. I think it's super fun, but, I recognize that it's not gonna be a lot of and if people are religious, this game is super not helpful.
Gotcha,
It's,
gotcha. Well, I feel like we can take a joke generally, so yeah, I think it should be fun.
yeah.
We'll see.
We'll have to find some stuff, yeah, to try out. Um,
Nice. Yeah.
but
Anything
yeah,
else you played over the weekend?
I think that was pretty well it. I was just reading and stuff, so
Oh, look at you,
I know.
bookworm. Reading the books. That's
You
good.
know, I gotta read one every 5 years, so that's
That's
pretty
fair.
well it's how illiterate I am. Like, I really think I could probably count all the books I've read for fun, on 2 hands. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I still have a huge passion for it and respect for it, but it's just hard for
Yeah.
me to like sit down and that's the story everyone has. It's like hard for me to sit down and do it. But once I do it, I can be enveloped by a story by whatever's going on. But I just got to sit down and do it. But I imagine that your commute used to be living in bigger cities. You had a longer commute being on the train and stuff. That's where like having a book could be handy or a book on tape kind of thing could have been better for you. Did you do that at all, or were you just kind of having your handheld with you when you're like on the train and stuff?
No, I didn't. I really should have, but yeah, I spent a lot of time playing Univores on my phone, or which is I don't even know how to describe that. It's like Advance Wars combined with StarCraft. It's really good.
Oh,
Or I was speed running on my Game Boy Advanced Micro, or playing on my 3DS. So I just spent a lot of time fucking around, or
yeah.
playing a shit ton of Downwell. I played so much Downwell. Um,
I haven't tried that.
Downwell,
Yeah,
I don't think you'd like it.
gotcha. Don't
It's a
trust your
really
judgment
cool.
there.
It's a tough as balls roguelite.
Gotcha.
It's pretty cool though.
Nice. Well, Gavin,
Yeah.
nothing else interesting happened in our lives, so we'll go into some stuff that
Oh God,
was
no.
interesting. Yeah. So we got some cool announcements. We got the PS5 finally had its event. We'll go into some of the breakdowns of what happened. So this is of actually from the PlayStation blog. This is Sid Schumann at PlayStation. So today was an exciting day for gamers around the world as a PlayStation 5 showcase granted us our first look at PS5 games under development and culminated with the reveal of the PS5 system itself, actually two PS5 systems. So let's stop there. So they did show off the box. We got two boxes really. What was your gut reaction to seeing that new PS5 model? That was kind of divisive.
Um, I'm really glad they have a discless version.
Yeah.
because the version with the disc, it's really ugly the way that kind of pops out. Um, I don't know. I was kind of surprised that it has a more traditional form factor, considering Xbox is gone. So in this weird vertical, um, what's the word?
Like a
Uh,
cooling tower, PC tower kind of thing, like an obelisk, whatever.
yeah, what's the like a jet engine almost kind of thing going
Oh, like a
on?
turbine, or is that the no? That's not the right term.
Yeah.
Cylinder,
Turbine.
but
Yeah,
okay.
that's correct.
I'm reading the books too, Gavin. I'm smart up
Yeah.
here.
I is smart also.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I guess I was a little surprised it was more traditional. Um,
You say traditional, but I mean that console also looks like it's from Mars. Like it's such a radical change to what they have done, at least with the PS4, PS3. Like it's still somewhat of a traditional box, and this has a lot of like fins and extra little doodads.
true. Yeah. One thing I did kind of hear is it's probably bigger than people think it is. Like you look at it
Yeah,
compared to that controller, it's a fucking monster.
right.
Um, and that was sort of surprising looking at like you look at the Xbox Series X, it's as people have pointed out, it's not that much bigger than a GameCube. It's sort of like a GameCube and a half size wise. So the fact that this thing is as big as it is, but really at the end of the day, I could care less about the way something looks. But I'm definitely glad they had the discless option. I think now is the time where I think that's going to be the more popular version, and
I
that's totally fine.
See, I'm in the same boat. I'm really just going all digital. I have been for the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years for sure. And then especially with PC gaming, it's like it's all digital, really. But as I read people's online, I'll see a lot of these prominent people on Twitter, like will put their own polls, like, "Hey, what are you thinking? Are you going all digital? Are you going with the disc version?"
Mhm.
And a lot of people are still holding on to wanting a physical disc drive. I didn't
Sure.
realize how important that is, just with like gauging online, gauging the temperature online. But it's still a
Mhm.
huge demand for people that want physical copies. Of course, if you don't have good internet, you definitely need the disc version of it. But there's a huge demand for these physical, aspects of the console, which it's not for me. But I was just surprised how much in demand having an actual disc drive on that console is.
Yeah, and it kind of comes down to like it's sort of easy to underestimate the amount of people that have really shitty internet that are just out in the boonies. Another big one thing is these consoles are huge with people in the military. You know, they're stuck overseas. You know, a lot of times you're stuck with nothing to do for long stretches of time, so they're playing a shit ton of video games, but they can't connect them to the internet. So
Right.
having the discs is really important.
Although I had this thought today, so I understand that idea that people need the disc, because really the disc is just a way to bring the media to be copied on the hard drive. A lot of them are just still copied on the hard drive when you get the disc, but there's so many updates. Even if you have the disc version of it, can you go fully offline with these consoles? Like even for like system updates, does it stop you, or some of the system updates on like the next wave of games? Can you fully unplug your console and not be on the internet at all?
It may depend on the game. Maybe some games like require like a day one update. I don't really know.
And that's
Um
a lot of games, though. I feel like there's some kind of bare minimum update. Granted, you can't go on Fortnite with it, with the always on games, like multiplayer. But like even a single player game, a lot of them ship with a day one
mm,
patch. So I wonder if it is actually possible. I'd like to see someone try it to just go fully offline. They never touch Wi-Fi or plug it in. It's just seeing if it's actually possible to go offline with these consoles.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it
I'm
is,
willing to
but
bet that it is on more games than we'd
mm,
probably think. But that's pretty hard to confirm and also just talking out my ass right now.
right.
So I
Yeah, and
don't
even people
really
with shitty internet, it's enough to like download a patch, even though it's annoying and
right.
cumbersome. It's possible. It's just like if you're out and you've just got enough electricity and a TV and only the system, I don't know if you can do it, but I'd like to see somebody try it.
Right. Or if it's like a Huh. um
Really bringing the energy today, Gav.
I know. Like Call of Duty where, you know, those patches take hours to download even on good internet.
Right.
Um, the hell are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's I mean that's the future. That's what we got to do now. But yeah, otherwise you're pretty. I don't know about positive, but like you're pretty just maybe think it's a fine new iteration with the choice of that design.
Yeah, I think it's fine. The only thing I really wish from that whole press conference is, that we got to see more games that look like they couldn't be done on current gen consoles, and we didn't really get much of that. Ratchet and Clank, we kind of got that.
I think that was
Um,
the one that sticks out for me, and maybe that's also one we got to see a lot of gameplay of. But you see them like traveling through. It seems like they're just flipping through levels like instantly. There's that portal mechanic, and the characters
mhm.
just jumping through to these other like fully realized worlds that are just ready to go. Maybe that was the only like really game that tested like the boundaries or the what's possible with PS5. I think you're right. Not a lot of the other games that showed up showed that potential.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely afterwards, I know I watched Digital Foundry's video on it too. They had the same issue I did where, like, it was coming in, like, the live stream was coming in kinda low res,
Mm,
and everything looked kinda funky and was a bit choppy, and I'm glad there were other people that totally thought that when the people were talking, doing the talking heads thing,
yeah,
I totally thought they were gonna be CG because there was something about everyone that looked a little fake,
right.
a little kinda uncanny valley, so I think a lot of people were expecting them to turn out to be, uh, rendered in PlayStation 5,
Right.
uh, but no, everyone just looked weird, which is probably a bigger testament to, this is something we're trying to pull off during COVID. We can't
Right.
give everyone proper lighting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I saw that same thing online. People where there was conspiracy theories like, oh, was it were they all CGI? What was the deal? But I think you're right. It was just the fact of they sent lighting kits, what have you, to people's houses to light them, and I think they did an over kind of manipulation on top of that to really make sure it was all unified. And I think that's what ended up with this weird visual look. But how
yeah.
dope would it be to be like, and all this was done on PS5, and then they're able to like tear their skin off, and it's like a T1000 or something. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. No, it would've been cool. Still would've been an uncanny valley. It's weird that it's sort of the reverse of uncanny valley in this case where, that comes from the aspect of humans are so used to looking at humans that just one thing being off and we know it's not real, whereas this is real people, but nobody trusts it.
Right. What did you think of some
So
of the games? So they did show off Spider-Man, the next or like DLC kind of thing, which we ended up realizing. So it's Spider-Man Miles Morales. It's not quite a sequel, but it's finally getting Miles Morales in his own game. It seems like this 1.5 or like a standalone kind of thing. But what'd you think of that?
it sounds good to me.
Right?
I think people will like it. I still wish those games had an option to make it harder. Like I think we've talked about the fact that when you're web swinging and you go kind of low, it'll like pull you up
Yeah.
from hitting the road. And I really wish there was a bit more kind of skill in some of this and let me kind of mess up. But people really like that game, so just
Well,
more
I
of
would
that game.
say
And
it
go ahead.
definitely was harder. The difficulty was in the combat, I found, because just managing, especially some of those like towards the end of the game, you unlock these like harder, enemy filled areas, and they're just bombarding you with people. And you really have to master your like dodging and rolling ability. So I think that's where the difficulty was. But you're right, there was kind of like an automated mode when you're swinging. Maybe they could kind of mess with that aspect where it's more just intricate or difficult when you're swinging to jump around geometry and stuff. But I think their balance was they wanted people to just feel like Spider-Man when they're swinging, and because of that, you lose some of that, technical ability of like physically maneuvering over stuff, and it just kind of the game runs for you that way.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be curious to see if this sort of helps continue like the excitement for Miles Morales' character. Can we get after Spider Verse where everyone's super hyped up on him? Can we get an actual movie? Um,
Oh, I think for sure they could.
yeah, and will Childish Gambino get to play? Now, I don't know if he still looks like back when people were really pitching it, he looked a lot younger. That was kind of like
Yeah,
his early Community days. He probably would have done better, but
he's a bit older now. I know he does have a cameo. He's in that last one of the last Spider-Man movies. He plays like a friend who's actually tied to Miles Morales. Like in the comic, he's like the uncle of Miles Morales. So he
oh
exists in
really?
that universe now, but I think he's just too old to be maybe an older, grizzled Spider-Man Miles Morales
Yeah.
version. But yeah, but he is in it, but he's just not Miles Morales. He
Hmm.
would have been perfect though, for sure.
I thought I'd heard him like voice Miles Morales in like a cartoon for it or something. I thought I heard
It's
that was a
possible.
thing. Yeah. But that was a good one. I think the gameplay for what is it, Ghost of Tokyo Ghost, whatever.
Oh yeah, let me look that up. It's like a something wire, right? Ghost Wire, is it?
Ghostwire, yeah,
Yeah,
Ghostwire Tokyo. I thought the gameplay looked really fun. That was definitely not what I was expecting. Sort of the first person spell casty, combat heavy game. That
right.
seems like it'll be a blast. And I'm sure it's really fun too. I don't know if PlayStation VR is still going to be a thing. Maybe not, probably not. I don't know. It did have the whole 3D camera thing, but
So do you think that the gameplay would work very well in VR? I feel like it's a lot going on where
no idea.
you can't move normally, and then also there's that like terror aspect of it because this is also the devs who do Evil Within. So and there's in that trailer there's like these switching between dimensions and stuff. That would just be too terrifying. But maybe they could get like the weirdness of moving around in VR, or that can add to the terror in the game as well.
Yeah, I don't know. How'd you kind of feel about that?
That game in particular,
Mhm.
super dope. It looks right up my alley. I really liked the. I don't know if you can play the whole game in first person, but I never liked the. I just didn't take very well to the Evil Within franchise. But this seems like a whole new like, just way of doing it. I trust their ability to create a game and the deep components. But like this really calls out to me more. It's this weird cyberpunk kind of noir Tokyo, and if you got the whole weird dimensional ghost stuff going on, it seems really dope. Very much like Skyrim with like the potions, the stuff you're casting. I'm really anticipating this. I don't know if this is something that can't be done on PS4. I feel like it could, but the visuals are really nuts. I'm sure it's gonna
I
really.
think it's gonna be cross-gen. It looked
It's
pretty
possible.
cross-gen to me. Most of the games I would say looked cross-gen.
Yeah, I think that's the reality. Is a lot of this stuff probably could be done on PS4. But yeah, they also showed off Horizon Zero Dawn. The next one, it's like West Coast something, West Coast Choppers. It's Horizon.
Journey to the West or something like
Yeah,
that?
Journey to the West. Yeah, that one looked really dope, really beautiful. I don't know if it can't be done on PS4, but I think that's a reality of just as we're transitioning into next gen. There's going to be those ones that are full on. They were developing it, 4 or 5 years ago, so it can be next gen right out of the gate. But some of these are probably could be done a little bit, on current gen consoles. But that one
Forbidden
looked
West.
Forbidden West. Okay, that one looked really dope. Really, just beautiful. Them just firing on all cylinders. Guerrilla Games. I can't wait for it. I love the last Horizon, so I just want more of that.
Yeah, and I think that one for sure was, PS5 only. I know kinda what people were noticing is there was a lot more just stuff, a lot further distance, even though the last one had big distances, a lot more foliage.
Yep.
Um, so that's definitely going to be a showcase. Another big one I think will be a good showcase, and obviously, the people at Gorilla know what the hell they're doing to make a fantastic visual. Another company that could knock it out the park is IO Interactive with Hitman. Uh,
Oh right.
those games are always stupid pretty.
Mhm.
So that's going to be oof, a
Yeah, I
lot
think
of
they showed off.
details.
Did they show off? I want to say it was a cinematic trailer, right? But at the same time, they're gonna you know do a great job, bang up job on it because yeah, you mentioned those all the other games are super beautiful, especially on PC. So this is them being able to basically turn all the bells and whistles on for like a PS5 version, I imagine.
Yeah, no, it's gonna look incredible. I think one of the big show stealers though, um, if not Horizon Zero Dawn, I would say the show stealer was Resident Evil 8. That
What do you think of
was
that one?
that was a fucking dope trailer.
Right?
When they did the whole like village thing, or like I mean, because I could definitely tell with the way they animate their faces, it felt to me like Resident Evil, that
Yeah.
engine. But when they pulled up village, everyone was sort of, oh, it's not, and then they did the thing, and it was,
Yep.
oh, that was so fucking sick. Um,
Yeah, that's a game that's top of my list for sure. Like I love the last one. I came to it late. I thought I was too scared to play it. Turns out it wasn't as scary as I thought, and I had a blast playing it. The puzzles and the gameplay, the combat, and so to see this, like I'm fully on board. I love these remakes, but I really want to see them pushing that whole genre forward and doing new stuff, taking chances. And this seems like that. There's like werewolves going on. There's a crazy witch that apparently follows you. They're back in this like European setting with these weird castles, and I'm fully on board. A lot of this stuff leaked a couple months ago, like the concepts leaked, and it seemed like that's exactly what happened. We learned that there was possibly werewolves and that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm super on board. If
Right.
this is in VR, I want nothing to do with it. I just want to play this in a normal fashion. But yeah, I'm
I
really
think I
stoked
think
for
that's
this.
one of those things too with like Resident Evil leaks is like you can just say anything and it could be possibly true. Like
Right.
you gotta take every single one of those things with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the gameplay they showed off did look. It still looks like it's locked in that current gen kind of status, but there was really high resolution texture. So I mean, think that's the benefit. If it is cross gen, it's still you're getting the best version of this with all the just the textures turned up, the particles turned up. So I'm on board with it.
Yeah, I think one thing people kind of noted with that, definitely, I think Digital Extremes mentioned is with the last Resident, and I totally like went on Twitch instantly and started watching old Resident Evil 7 footage. And God, it's just such a looker.
Mhm.
But they did mention, yeah, the textures are a bit higher in this. So it does look better. It could be next gen only. We don't really know. That might be kind of risky. Um, Shit, that's a looker. So I think that was kinda my game of that was my big reveal of the show, I think. That being said, my favorite was still probably, Deathloop. I just can't wait, to know more about that game. I really
Yeah.
wish, we gotta see a developer walk through. I love Arcane. I need to play through I just need to go through all their games, I think is the thing. Um
Yeah, I need to do that as well. I kind of the last week or so, I did dabble more into Dishonored, kind of chipping away at that save, but I just got distracted or whatever. But I do love the mechanics they built, and this with Deathloop, it looks a lot like Dishonored in the fact that you're zipping around. You still have that teleportation ability. You have your powers, but there's maybe more emphasis on like shooting on that aspect of it, which I'm down for. I love the. I'm looking at the trailer now. They're building this like it's almost like Quentin Tarantino like grindhouse, like aesthetic to it, which is super dope. Yeah, I mean they're really scratching that itch for me. So I don't think they gave any indication on a date for this. I feel like we're still at least a year, maybe a year and a half out. But yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. My guess would be a year. That would be my guess. And that
Yeah,
definitely there was nothing about that that looked next gen. That looked like a current gen game, which is fine.
right.
And my PC may actually be able to handle it, hopefully. Um, but it looks cool. I think it's got a neat system. I'll be really curious to know. They mentioned you have 8 targets to kill. I do wonder if you have to do it all in one run. And I
Interesting.
wonder if they not necessarily took inspiration, but, there's that, kind of rogue-ish like mode in,
On Prey.
in Prey, and I wonder if that was sort of an experiment, and if they're gonna be taking some elements from that and putting it, into this. And I also thought it was kinda cute in that trailer how it seems like the bad guys are just sort of partying until you show up in the room.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun every time you're busting through a door and
Right.
like a record scratch or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another one I can't wait for. I trust everything they do. I want them to just take more chances, create these new properties because they're just so good at it. I don't want them to be stuck or feel like they're stuck creating a sequel to stuff. Like just let it rip because they're always learning from each title and kind of bringing those mechanics in, dropping mechanics, and so yeah, I love what they're doing over there.
Oh,
Um,
that being said, during the PC game show, just to jump ahead a tiny
mhm.
bit, so they brought on, former developers at Arcane. They're making that new game Weird West.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah, they showed
they
a trailer off, right?
yeah, and they did a bit of an interview with the guy there, and the thing that I thought was interesting is they mentioned that yes, this is an immersive sim, and it does play very similar to sort of a Dishonored or a BioShock or something like that. It's just in a different angle, but you're still clicking on stuff, you're still inspecting all this stuff. So they're saying it totally works in a different perspective, and that sounds super interesting. So it is this kind of game that they made before, which really makes me wonder, well, they left to go make the kind of games they wanted to make, and it sounds like it's more of what they were making, so why did they need to leave?
Yeah,
Um,
that's always it'd be good to be a fly on the wall to kind of hear those conversations, but maybe they just wanted full creative control, and there's realities where the company was like, oh, we need to make something that's maybe I don't know more marketable or what have you. Although these are devs from you mentioned from Arcane, right? And I feel like they make weird games
yeah,
already. So if they're splitting off because those games aren't weird enough, then damn, like what is this going to be? But it does seem like something Arcane could also put out. But Yeah, I share those same thoughts.
And that would be cool because I feel like we need more of these immersive sim style games. I can never get enough. Like especially now that the Bioshock's completely out of the picture, I can't get enough Bioshock style games. That's what I was playing through Deus Ex. So it's good to have more. More
Yep.
options are good. Uh,
I agree. I agree. Yeah, they showed off quite a bit of games. I was a big fan of that conference. It felt, a little bit like an E3 conference, as much as close as to it as we could be in this current time frame. But yeah, I had a blast. And I love that PS4, PS5 look. Rather, I think it's really growing on me. I just like how weird it is. I was also the one who was like, "Hey, let's take that dev kit that everyone shared. Let's make that the console." Like, I just wanted it super weird, so they provided that weird console for me.
yeah,
Uh,
true. See on here you listed Bug Snacks. What a weird fucking trailer.
Did you? Yeah.
That
Did
was
you see that? That was cool. I didn't catch until later when I watched that trailer again. But the
yeah.
song was really just quirky and weird. But people were just kind of riffing on that song online, adding it to other like horrible videos. But yeah, that was a cool one. I want to say that was from with Bug Snatch. They had a lot of Annapurna games. I don't know if that was also an Annapurna
They
game.
did, which is cool. Annapurna has put out like nothing but gold.
Yeah.
Um, so some of my favorite games they did, Outer Wilds. So
Right.
they got my heart and my soul. They know what I want. We'll be curious to check out that Stray Cat game.
Oh, Stray, I think it's called, right? Yep.
Yeah, I think so. So I'll definitely be curious to learn more about that. It'll be exciting. But
Nice.
and now we can't wait for Microsoft's conference next month.
Yeah,
So
we'll see
that's
what they
gonna
do. So it's in July at some point. I don't think they've given an exact date, but I know it's in July. Hopefully, early July.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of Microsoft, Microsoft shares new details for the Xbox Series X Smart Delivery.
Yeah.
I
Do you
don't
want
know
to
if
take
you
this
want
one?
to cover that. Yeah, sure. So Eli Blumenthal from CNET.com reporting one of the more immediately useful features of Microsoft Series X launched this holiday season is the company's new smart delivery system. In the blog post, Microsoft on Monday shared a few more details about the forthcoming feature. While it is leaving the option of smart delivery up to developers, Microsoft says it will automatically give you the Series X version for supported titles you're downloading to the new system and no extra charge once the updated game is available. So that's kind of basically what we already kind of knew. Is there sort of any new details out of this that was kind of sussed out?
Yeah. The only newer aspect of it is also that the fact that they're saying that they're going to support, as long as developers support it, is this like cross save aspect too. So once you like say with Cyberpunk, that's one that's confirmed. You buy it on whatever current gen console, or at least sorry, with Xbox, you buy it on the current gen Xbox. If you do upgrade to the Series X, that save will also transfer over too. And so you're not losing anything. You're able to jump right in, which is awesome. I feel like that's what I want to see with if I'm actually going to upgrade. I don't want to have to start a save over again. Maybe with Cyberpunk, I wouldn't mind because that game looks bonkers. I wouldn't mind starting it from the ground up. But it's cool that you can just pick up with the new version. But it's also up to devs to support that. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, that's an awesome ability for them to do that.
And the save thing especially makes a lot of sense because you think about like that should be like the easiest thing in the world. Really? Because why would you change your save format from Xbox Series X to
Yeah.
Xbox One X or anything like that? So that it's sort of almost like a non-announcement, but it is still cool. I'm sure that's more tied to your account, and
Right.
I'm sure when they're supporting the whole XCloud thing, we'll have our you could jump from your Xbox One to your XCloud that you're playing on your phone all the way till when you get to grandma's house and you can play on the Xbox Series X.
You say,
Um,
move over, grandma. I'm taking over the TV and I'm playing Cyberpunk, and you're gonna deal with
exactly.
it.
Stop playing your genital jousting, grandma. I gotta
I'm gonna unplug your bed here, and I'm gonna plug in the Xbox Series X.
gonna
We
cut the
can't.
cord and use that cord.
Yeah, I got to download an update for Modern Warfare. Yeah, no, it's dope. You're right that it's kind of a non feature, but it's also it's cool that that's becoming, at least with Xbox, that's a standard going forward that they're going to
Yeah.
try and achieve, where you can just kind of move back and forth, especially since they're building this ecosystem. You mentioned with the mobile aspect, with going from If you have an Xbox, One X at the house, or you have one at your place of work, and you can kind of move back and forth. I think it gets more complicated when you're moving between consoles. I don't think they're going to support it that way, but maybe that's the next front that people will try and fight for, because we've now achieved crossplay on a lot of different games. So maybe we
Mhm.
can achieve cross save, across different games too.
Cross save seems to me more, from what I've seen, a lot of times more common than cross play. Like I know Destiny 2 has it,
Sure.
which is handy. That way you don't have to regrind up your characters. I
Right.
think Destiny 2. So yeah, there's a little bit out that out there already.
Gavin, I'm going to put you on hold. Will you ramble for a second so I can answer the door?
Sure.
Okay, awesome.
Uh, okay. So is my favorite thing to put on my chips the queso, especially the queso fresco, um, and you just go to town. Uh, let me tell you about my favorite game, uh, pumpkin spice latte, the fourth, and it's just the best game that you ever did have. So
mm.
go out and buy it. Pumpkin spice latte, the fourth.
Gavin, that's the other game I'm secretly working on. So I wasn't ready to reveal that, but I appreciate you spilling the beans.
It's right. Mixing
Yeah.
your the beans because
Coffee beans. I was hoping that that was my graphics card that was coming in. It was not, so I just kicked whoever
just a
showed up and told him to leave.
roaming group of Mormons trying to.
Yeah, said fuck off. I'm talking video games right now. Well, Gavin, yeah, let's transition into our next article here. So we got some Fortnite news. I know you're a big Fortniter, as the kids say.
Did I? So this event already happened then.
Happened today.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. So
they
this
were
is
they were invading my inbox trying to get me to watch said event, which I felt.
well, it's fine. I did watch a bit of it, but we'll get into some of the news here about it. So Fortnite breaks Twitch's all-time concurrent viewer record after locking tons of players out of the event. This is Nathan Grayson of Kotaku. Today, Fortnite's oft-delayed season-ending device event finally took place, dotting the map with explosions before submerging it beneath the ocean. Over 2 million viewers tuned in on Twitch to watch the sea consume all. This means that Fortnite now once again holds the all-time record for most concurrent viewers on Twitch, but with an asterisk. The event topped out at 2.3 million live viewers across multiple channels on Twitch, according to Twitch's own stats. This surpasses the previous record held by League of Legends with just a hair over 1.7 million viewers during last year's World Championship. But Fortnite's latest wave of momentum arose from a storm of abnormal circumstances. Ahead of the device event, Epic announced that in-game space would be limited. A few minutes before it began, the company said on Twitter that the game was at capacity, forcing many fans, including Fortnite creative director Donald Mustard, which is his real name, to watch the event unfold on Twitch or YouTube. This annoyed players who logged in expecting to experience Fortnite's latest epochal upheaval firsthand, only to be turned away after waiting through multiple delays for the event to even occur. They still found themselves stuck on the outside looking in. So I watched a bit of the gameplay. It's another cool event where they basically demolish the islands, but I think you can still play it. It's still changing. The actual change for the season is this Thursday, so it's kind of like a event pre-event until the changes take effect on Thursday. But people were really stoked for this. They kept pushing the date, and of course they did on purposely. Was it last week with everyone taking time off with the Black Lives Matter movement, and so they actually have the event happening now, and Thursday is when it actually changes over. But I had some nieces and nephews who were very excited to see this event. I don't know what their take was on it, but I dig that they're still doing their thing. They're still changing stuff and
Yeah.
having these full blown events.
Did your nieces and nephews get in?
I don't know. I don't think they're smart enough to or patient enough to deal with the delays that apparently happened. So when I was
Right.
at work today, it's so slow at the coffee shop. One of the girls I work with, she also got super into Fortnite, and so she had her Switch in hand, and she was like, she was in the waiting room trying to get in, and I just I left at that point. I didn't see what if she was able to jump into the event, but apparently there was a huge demand, like that article just said. So a lot of people were stuck out of it. But yeah, I watched on YouTube, and so you can find it there. But yeah, another big event for
I'm
event.
very curious to see, like, was this a plan, George? I know the email I got said like reserve your place. So
Interesting.
it seemed like there was some sort of reservation system. I don't. Maybe that's not a thing. Maybe I just misunderstood the email. Um,
Well, there was
but
in the
again,
article.
go ahead.
Oh, in the article they mentioned there was some kind of attempt to get people locked in because there was a capacity that they were reaching. So maybe that was that email they sent you. But I don't, in the past they haven't done that. They just let people in. But maybe they're reaching this like server limit where they can't have everybody in all at once on these events.
Sure. Well, it does say space is limited. Arrive 30 minutes early. So no, there was no reservation.
Gotcha.
Um, that's crazy. But yeah, it does make me wonder if it is planned, if this is sort of like, when they took down Fortnite and that caused more stir. So
Sure.
is there something to holding back that they've learned?
I wonder.
Yeah, it's curious. But good for
Yeah.
them. That's a the fact that they just smashed that record,
Right.
with 2.3 million is insanity. And that League of Legends thing, like you think about the sheer ungodly amount of money that League of Legends had to blow on that opening ceremony and all this stuff to get those views. Whereas these guys just, I mean, it's not that they just did a thing. This was a ton of work, but it's
Right.
just very different.
Yeah.
But
In
it's
this
also,
event.
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Go. Oh, okay. It was just more of on the actual changes. They're apparently adding more like underwater components. So that was part of the changes. That there's these huge waves that kind of circle the island now that are just like skyscraper size waves. And the idea is that it's gonna submerge the planet or the island completely, and they're gonna add more like underwater abilities because you can swim, but you can't like swim underwater now. So maybe they're gonna add that with shooting, and so that's the one of the ideas.
That'd be neat. I guess I just feel bad for these level designers. Didn't they basically just remake this whole map, this huge map for
Yeah,
season 2?
yeah.
So, I guess more grinding for these guys. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But
so we'll see how that goes. But they're able to keep up with the workload. I don't know about mentally how it's going. If we don't hear a lot of stuff lately with crunch with them, I don't know. Maybe it's easier for them to be at home and work on this stuff. I don't know, but you're right. They're just pumping this stuff out now. Gavin, we also have this new game was announced today from EA. It's Star Wars Squadrons. Sounds pretty cool. There's a trailer for it out, no gameplay. But this is of The Verge. Have the article here going. This is EA announces Star Wars Squadrons, a new first-person starfighter dogfighting game. So Chaim Gartenberg of The Verge has the article. EA has announced a new Star Wars game, Star Wars Squadrons, a first-person space combat game that will have players flying the series' famous starfighters in head-to-head single-player and multiplayer battles. Developed by Motive Montreal, which previously contributed to both Battlefront 2 and Anthem, Squadrons will let players fly a variety of Star Wars ships, including the X-Wing, A-Wing, Y-Wing, U-Wing. Those are all real. TIE Fighter, TIE Interceptor. EA won't be revealing gameplay until the company's EA Play Live event on June 18th, which is this Thursday, I want to say, at 4
oh wow.
p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But it promises a variety of multiplayer modes, including fleet battles, where the goal is to work with your teammates to destroy a capital ship, as well as more traditional dogfighting mode. Another welcome improvement, cross-platform support, with multiplayer supported between players on Xbox, PS4, and PC. Squadrons will also be compatible with VR headsets on PC and PS4 for players who want even more immersion. Star Wars Squadrons is set to be released on Xbox, PS4, PC on October 2nd, and it's going to retail for $39.99. And there's a trailer now for it as well. It's cool. I want more Star Wars games. I feel like keep it going. Did you ever play like the older Star Wars? I don't know if it was like the original like Battlefront or Battle something where you were in a fighter zipping around space.
Not really. I played a little bit, and I definitely remember thinking it was absolute bonkers that you could, be in a spaceship, jump, like run out to the hangar, jump into another spaceship, fly over to the other hangar, hop out, and like I thought that was really cool. And I wish more games had mechanics like this. I think it's neat that they're doing the whole first person thing, and it's gonna have that sort of added layer of immersion. And I hope they do some fun stuff with that. I would love, if they do include like a Millennium Falcon or something like that, if you're able to run around, um, to get to the different parts of the Millennium Falcon, that'd be pretty cool. Or we'll see if you're running around the command deck on some of those Star Destroyers. Um, yeah, I'd be really curious to see what they kind of do with the immersion on this one. But that's really cool. And
Yeah.
I don't know how many flight simulator games are even out nowadays. But the
Yeah,
trailer looks great.
That's kind of a genre that has fallen by the wayside. So there is that one Microsoft-owned game where it's like a flight. It's a legit flight sim where they have like
Mhm.
photorealistic, versions of. I think they use like Google Maps to just like photorealize the world. But there's that. There isn't just a lot of fighter type games and or a ship battle like flying style games. And I think the people are hungry for it. Especially you plaster Star Wars over it. That's a win-win.
Yeah, and I kinda wonder if, like, the lower price point, I kinda wonder if that's from it seems to me like these games should be easier to make, right? Like, you're not
Mm,
dealing with very much animation at all, you don't have to mocap these X-wings,
that's true.
there's so much stuff that's sort of stationary, non-animated, it seems like it'd be pretty easy a lot easier to make, so I'd be curious if that's kinda why the price point is lower, um
I wonder if also they're not focusing on a campaign. I don't see that in the article here. It seems like it's mostly multiplayer. Maybe that's also why it's going for 39.99. But I wonder if this is just like a live service game that they're trying to kick up.
Yeah, no, that's totally possible, I don't know, but I believe it.
Now, so this is going to be shown off gameplay wise at EA's event, which is this Thursday, the 18th. And I'm assuming we're also going to see more stuff from EA. There's a bunch of games that haven't shown off yet. There's Valhalla. There's that like Fortnite Zelda looking game, Gods and Monsters. And also, so I have this tweet here. It's your boy who develops A Way Out. So Joseph Ferris, he tweeted
Okay.
a short tease about the
Fuck
next
yeah,
game. Yeah,
or whatever.
that dude. That's what he said. Yeah. So he's going to show off his game at that event too. So he's partnering with EA for whatever that next game is. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Can he be drunk and announce it again? That would be
Well, I mean, he's definitely a character. Like he kind of does what he wants to do. He's very charismatic. With EA, I imagine they're kind of like, hey, buddy, keep it down a notch, or we got kids watching, so it's like I imagine he has to kind of like play by the rules. But that's cool that he's partnering with them. I'm anxious to see what he's gonna make because his games are very story based and cooperative. I feel like across the board, that's kind of his focus. With like pushing that ability. We played A Way Out. I really dug our time playing that because that was a really cool, just unique experience.
I still think and this is what a lot of reviews pointed out, I still think the part where we were, like, in the house together just dicking around was the best part of that game, though.
Yeah,
It was really fun. No, I really dug it. But I think that's also the power of just, like, a two-player co-op game. It's really hard to get many more people in that, but 2
right.
that was very doable. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like playing the piano. I think is there a moment where we both play the piano, or we make a song, or we like a jam session? I forget exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
somebody was on piano, somebody was on guitar, and we had to both start at the exact same moment. And then yeah, we played a song, and that was super cool.
Gotcha. Yeah, no. So I'm very stoked to see what he's gonna work on next. I imagine it's gonna be weird and bonkers, and I'm definitely on board.
It's gonna be his Inception video game.
Nice. Hey, that count me in. So
As
we
long
got
as
some.
he's got more big nose protagonists for guys like me, all right? That's the important bit. I gotta have someone to identify with.
Right? Yeah, because you don't have any other mainstream characters and games to really identify with. It's a struggle.
That and Ganondorf, so that's pretty much the.
I just mentioned, or I meant like just general white guys. That's all protagonists in games. So yeah, it's not like you haven't had the guy who looks like you for a while. So
Yeah, exactly. It's trouble. I have no representation.
yeah, exactly. All right, Gavin. So our next one here is AT&T looking to sell WB Interactive, includes studios like Rocksteady and NetherRealm. Do you want to take this one?
No, sure.
Up to you.
I'm very confused by this one. It really confuses
Okay.
me with the relationship between like a publisher, and these and the developers. Like, how
Yeah.
much do they own? How much control do they have? That really doesn't make sense to me. This whole concept. But yeah, AT&T, they're looking to sell the Warner Bros. Interactive. This is written by Matt Kim of IGN, which includes studios like NetherRealm, Avalanche, Rocksteady. The deal could be valued at 4 billion, and there's reported interest from companies like Take Two, EA, and Activision Blizzard. Which to me, 4 billion for this seems like a steal. That being said, if you're a publisher, um, you're still gonna have to pump way more money into this thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's reports CNBC. Telecom, AT&T, which purchased Warner Media in 2018. Oh, so that wasn't even that long ago. I was looking to divest some assets to help pay for the $200 billion in debt.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know if that was from the deal or the stuff they already had or what have you,
They do.
but yeah.
You can't buy that much cocaine and hookers. Like that's just but yeah, anyway, potential purchase, however, includes studios belong to WB Interactive like NetherRealm, Rocksteady, behind Mortal Kombat, Batman Arkham series reportedly, series respectively. AT&T purchased Time Warner for 109 billion in 2018. They amassed $200 billion in debt. Investors have called on AT&T to sell non-core assets such as DirecTV and WB Interactive. What in the fuck did they actually buy with this crazy?
Yeah.
Good God, this why? Um, I fully expect Tencent to pick up the bill.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just sweeping up devs left and right. So
Yeah, they got that money to throw around. Or what was that one? Who was that company that was like slowly hostile takeovering, like EA or Activision or one of those companies? There was somebody that was slowly purchasing up all their stock until one day they just sold it all, which was really fucking weird.
I forget. You're right.
Um,
I forget the name of that like publisher or entity, but they bought. They own. Um, oh, there's a like GTA style game with
oh,
the
Take Two.
Take Two possibly. Where it's like whoever owns Saint Row. It's like that entire
Yeah,
entity
Take Two.
was just like buying over. Yeah.
That was man, that was a weird one. Who was that? I don't think it was Tencent, but maybe it was Tencent. Just friggin' some of the stuff in this industry, but that's and I really don't know what happens, with the publishers and these developers because a publisher is not a developer. So why is this going whole kit and caboodle? Does it just mean they have access to, because they you can't make Batman without WB. That's their rights and whatnot. Can you still make Mortal Kombat without WB, or do they own some rights to that? I wouldn't think so, but maybe they do. Um, yeah, it
Yeah.
really doesn't make sense to me.
It seems like in the deal they are like compartmentalizing different aspects of it. So like the studio that does Batman or that Batman franchise, the actual IP, WB would still own. Also, there's apparently like a Harry Potter game that exists they're working on. They would still own that. But what's on the chopping block is yeah, like NetherRealm, Rocksteady, which has like done other Batman games. So yeah, it's tough. I imagine this. Maybe this is why we haven't seen the legit announcement by that next Batman game from WB Studios. So maybe that's why they're waiting until this like blows over. I don't know. There's also that Harry Potter rumored game that it's been rumored for a while, but we still haven't seen anything of it. It's like an RPG game. Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's
It's a huge deal. What was that? I didn't catch that part.
just gonna be an auto clicker, be like an idle game.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see. I
that's
mean, it's still up in the air. There's no confirmation on who's buying it or who's in the talks of buying it. It's just the fact that they're trying to get rid of it and trying to figure out their $200 billion debt that they have to figure it out. I wonder if that debt comes from when you buy these studios. Cool, you made that deal, but there's also a bunch of bills they have to pay people that are on the payroll. So it's like you have these properties, but they're not necessarily just going to make you tons of money. There's also the bills that come with that and the issues of paying for like studios in general. And so maybe that's where, and they didn't realize it. They bit off more than they could chew. They're just picking up so much debt that they have to just drop these and try and make some money, recoup their costs.
yeah. It's still so strange to me too that, they bought this a whole 2 years ago.
Yeah,
So they're not even getting the return on their investment yet. I don't know how many what we've got new Mortal Kombat DLC. Like that just
yeah,
seems strange to not try and clean up some of this, but I guess the investors don't see necessarily the big picture. They just they
right.
want these short-term gains. So that's probably kind of what happened there. So that sucks. But hopefully it goes to a good home. Hopefully we still get to, get that next Batman Arkham game or whatever yeah, I think they confirmed it was a Batman game, which seriously, let
Yeah.
these people work on something else.
Yeah, imagine the stress of like being in these dev teams where you're working on the game, you're trying to get hit these time frames, and then you're also the weight of, is this studio going to be bought by something else? Is it going to be turned into something else? Like just the mental stress I imagine of like being in the window or like the in between of not knowing, if your studio secure or the groups even on top of that are secure. I imagine it's not easy.
Yeah. Can you kind of imagine the concept? So they're looking to sell it for only like what, $4 billion? That's nothing. And especially when
Is
they
it?
like bought it for, well, I mean, for us it's a big deal, but considering that it sounds like they paid for it for like 1.9 or $109 billion, like this doesn't make fucking sense.
That's true.
Um But I'd be curious to see, like, Microsoft a few years back was just tossing out the cash, buying up the studios.
Yep.
This could be like, all right, guys, one more big purchase.
Right.
Let's scoop, let's scoop this up.
Yeah, you get Mortal Kombat as an Xbox exclusive. Like that's a pretty huge get if you can do that.
That's how you get Master Chief in there. That's how you get.
Oh,
They could
nice.
bring Conquer, bring Conquer from Conquer's Bad Fur Day, and there would be fantastic. Uh, all these franchises
Yeah,
be a
we will see.
toasty one. Yeah,
Now, got our next
that's
one here. We covered a bit of this, but this is just No Man's Sky. It's adding crossplay for Xbox One, PC, and PS4. I'll just scrub through this one. The Verge, Megan, and this is a dope name, Megan Farouk Manesh, I want to say. That's pretty cool. No Man's Sky is heading to Xbox Game Pass on June 11th, along with Windows 10 version. Developer Hello Games announced that beginning tomorrow, the game will be available with cross-platform multiplayer, meaning PS4, Xbox, and PC players will be able to adventure together. Since the game's launch in 2016, Hello Games has continued to substantially improve upon No Man's Sky with additional content, multiplayer, and more. Cross-platform multiplayer is still rare. Only a handful of titles such as Need for Speed, Heat, Fortnite, Rocket League, and Minecraft offer it. This is a quote from Sean Murray. A tremendous amount of work has gone into the update and the underlying technology and systems, Murray wrote. We've moved on to an entirely new networking architecture with more flexibility for the future, allowing players to play together regardless of platform. The team will continue to work on new content updates, large and small. Yeah, just more good news and good on them for just keep pumping this stuff out. They haven't given up, and now there's no need to give up on it. Like they've already gone over that hill, but it was very dicey there in the beginning.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And I mean, what a big deal for this game too. Cross I mean, I'm sure it's hard enough to like trying to find other people in this huge expansive universe, but now you basically kind of doubled your, well, I guess well, you have PC in there too. Normally it's a big deal to have PC in there because they're going to be at a huge advantage. In this case, no, they're not. I mean, they're at a slight advantage, but you're not fighting them. You're not PvPing them. So you've essentially tripled your player base
Yep.
per platform. So that's fantastic. Yeah, what can I say? That's amazing. And I'm sure when they say they redid their network architecture, I'm guessing there's going to be more benefits for that too, right? Like, I mean, the fact that Fortnite at one point when they weren't allowed to do crossplay, accidentally turned on crossplay, it just sort of and it just worked. So I get the feeling that with games like this, there's probably more to that restructuring. Either that or their
Mm,
former networking sucked, and that's why they needed to redo the whole thing.
yeah.
But I wonder if we will get additional enhancement as well in the future.
Yeah. Well, that's what they said they're committed to doing. So yeah, that's dope. I don't have a strong, compelling urge to play No Man's Sky, but I really dig that they're still supporting this game, and I guess I'm more eager to see what they do next. There is that one game, the Campfire, but I kind of want them. I want to see Hello Games what they actually like bring their heads together to work on the next project. I feel like it could be super
Right.
dope for them to be past this stuff, and then the next thing has got to be just bonkers. But
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad it sounds like they're still making money, which makes me happy about it. And every time it goes on sale, it's the new top seller on Steam. So
mhm,
that's a big deal. Making that, not quite, but sort of that GTA money.
right there
So
you go.
who
uh,
knows? Who knows?
Now, Gavin, this next one, you got to watch his actual conference. So, what is your general take on? So, we had that PC gaming show. It was 5 hours long or whatever. What was your general takeaway from
Falling asleep was
that?
my
Was it too
general
long, you
takeaway.
think, or what was
It was
going on?
way too fucking long, and there were way too many games. You gotta curate this shit better. And there was 3 sections, right? So there was, like, the Guerrilla Collective, then they did the PC gaming show, then they did the Future gaming show, which the
Oh,
future gaming show is basically not worth it. So what do we even have here? Like I'm sure the list is huge.
yeah, the list is
Ooblets.
huge. The first one I have is like Valheim PC gameplay. Looks like a cool ship to ship combat, or actually you're on the ground, you're playing in different areas. But that one looked really dope. And then yeah, seeing Ooblets, that's a game it's on my radar because it's so quirky and cute and fun. I really want to play this. It looks like it's going into early access.
That's pretty cool.
What were
One
the
I
big
saw.
ones that you took away with?
So Torchlight 3 is they they dropped it. They said it's out in early access now. That's a big one. A lot of people, it's sort of your third pillar of Diablo games, right? Like you have your Diablo, you have your whatever the fuck that game is that everyone plays that's Diablo, and then this is sort of your third Diablo style action RPG game. So, it's one a lot of people love. It's got a lot of imagination in it. It's really fun. Persona 4 coming to PC was kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
I guess. Elite Dangerous now allowing you to go down to planets and walk around. That's pretty cool. That super simulation based game. Ooh, here's one. Sound Mind. That was really dope. It just looked cool. I can't really remember much from it. Oh, yeah, it kind of looked like Alan Wake, was what a lot of people were thinking.
oh okay. Yeah, I'm
So
watching
that
some
was
of the
sort of,
trailer now. It's very moody and yeah, very much like Alan Wake.
yeah, like a first person, for sure. Let's see what else in here. I guess Godfall was shown. I forgot about that. Uh, Proteus was shown again, but it was nothing really that new.
That game does look really dope, though. I cannot wait to play a demo or something of that because game looks nuts.
Christ on a crutch, there's so many games.
Yeah,
Let's
that was maybe the
see.
downside is that they're trying to chalk so much, stuff into it. Maybe that's the benefit of our traditional E3, or at least even if it's digital, like you can kind of spread these announcements and you can make deals with these smaller devs and they can be thrown into these other bigger streams. But it seems like PC gaming, they just or that magazine, whatever that entity was able to scoop up all these indies, all these smaller titles, but it just made that stream so massive.
Yeah, and that it's like you said, yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing about E3. It's spread out over 3 days, and you do it over a very long period of time. Let's see, Rogue Lords. I can't remember who was developing that, but I know that was kind of a big deal. Uh, okay.
There's a lot.
Jesus Christ, how long is this page?
And some
Mortal
were just
Shell
like
was
new
shown.
trailers.
Yeah, nothing really new there. Yeah, there was a lot of new trailers. There was even some older trailers. Blightbound, we found out from Ramino Games, we found out is 3 players, which is cool. So sort of a brawler.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know how many people care about that.
Yeah.
Chris Tales, we saw a lot of trailers that showed jack shit about that game, which bugged me. Yeah, there's Weird West. There was an interview. Oh, there was some more stuff for um what's that game? It's a first person shooter. I'm sure I'll see it in a sec.
Hmm.
Um, Surgeon Simulator 2 looked hilarious.
Now they also
Um,
did. There was a interview they did with the dev, and they made an announcement of like a graphical overhaul, as much as it, I guess you can call it. But it's that really dope game where it's like a simulation, and before it was like text was the graphics, and now they're actually creating like little tiny sprites. But we talked about this over the weekend. I watched that No Clip doc about it, and they actually included them in that stream apparently too. But what is the
oh, did they?
name of that game? I'm blanking on it.
Dwarf Fortress?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so there was also like an interview that's part of that PC gaming show that I just like found the trailer from. But yeah, they're working on actual like just artwork for the game, so it's a bit more interesting when you look at it. You can kind of tell what's going on.
Interesting. That's something I should mention as well. There was a cool, like, somewhat unrelated. There was a documentary this weekend that came out about Killer Instinct.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it was sort of the rebirth of Killer Instinct. And I highly recommend everyone watch it. It's super interesting, even if you're not really into fighting games. It's such an interesting story of just this group of developers that really pulled themselves by their bootstraps and remade Killer Instinct in the most fashionable way possible. And then their studio got sold, and they had to pass the torch to some other people. So
Yeah.
it's super neat.
Is it
So sort of
Hold or is it Fight On? Is that the name of the doc?
could be.
I'm seeing one on YouTube 6 days ago called "Fight On: The Killer Instinct Story," about an
That's
hour.
probably it. It's like an hour and a half. It's
Yeah,
pretty long. Yeah, yeah. So good. Super recommend it. Um, so cool. So
nice. I'll have to check
absolutely.
that out.
Yeah.
And so they go
Uh,
over the history of from the actual beginning of that studio or that project, Killer Instinct, and then along the way with them losing or having to pass the torch, like you mentioned.
yeah, yeah. And even like you hear like little things from like the original Killer Instinct, which were sort of neat. Because I guess with Killer Instinct, it was sort of when they originally designed it, they talk about how they were like he saw these little nuggets in other games of the way he felt it should be. Like the fact that, if somebody's comboing you, A, that combo isn't very long, and B, there's no real counterplay. So that was sort of his thing of, well, give us counterplay, you get the combo breaker. And then B, give us these long fucking combos. Give us something really exciting. Uh they talk about like the announcer when they're doing like the ultra combo
Right.
or the combo breaker, had way higher volume than everything else in the game. And it sort of, cheated on the volume scale, and that was to blast over every other arcade game in the arcade and make people
Ah,
go, "The
right.
fuck is that?" Um, so it's super neat. I highly recommend it. It is a fun one.
Nice, that's cool. Yeah, it's funny to think about those days when they that was a that's something that bled over into the mechanics of also making sure that because you're competing physically right next to other cabinets, you want to make sure yours is flashy, is has this some component that stands out, and that's something that they don't have to do anymore. But like, it's cool to see the origin of that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you think about how many people went and played that, uh have super fond memories of that X-Men beat 'em up game in the
Oh,
arcade, and I
sure.
wonder how many of those memories are just colored by the fact that the cabinet is fucking dope. It
Yeah.
was
Is it like a
huge.
four-player cabinet, right? I feel like that's
Yeah,
the
four-player
huge one.
cabinet, super wide. So I remember jack dick about that game, but, the cabinet, whew, that cabinet,
Right.
bring that shit in on a forklift. That's, I don't know if you build it when you get there, there's a little man operating it from the inside like Wizard of Oz, like
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
yeah. So that's it's a neat one.
Nice. Yeah. So there's a tons of those trailers and all that stuff that's been now like uploaded online, so you can find the individual game announcements for the that PC game show, the Gorilla Collective, all that. There's a lot. There's a lot to sort through there.
Was half my day.
Yeah, it's stressful. It's a hard life, Kevin. But so this next article we have is just some patent news. I found it interesting. So this is a Sony patent suggests AI could one day take over if a multiplayer opponent rage quits. So IGN's Jordan Alleman has a story. A patent filed by Sony suggests that artificial intelligence could one day take over if your opponent quits a multiplayer game. The patent was first posted to Reddit by user Wolfgang Kype Z yesterday. The abstract summarizes what this
You can
technology
trust
would.
that name. Good old Wolf game, Kipesy.
He's right there with CNN and Fox News. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Right.
So the abstract summarizes what this technology would achieve in a convincing manner. When the first player quits or stops responding before the multiplayer game has completed, the first player replaced by a computer simulated version of the first player that selects its actions based on probabilities calculated from the tracked actions of the first player. The multiplayer game is thus able to continue without interruption or disruption, and the first player's playstyle is preserved. This means that if we take a fighting game, for example, this technology would allow a match to continue even if the opponent left via rage quit or unfortunate disconnect by tracking their previous inputs and replicating how they would play in the following minutes. This would be very handy across many games to stop players who feed, go AFK, or rage quit from ruining the match for anybody else. As always with patents, you should take this with a pinch of salt, but it's worth considering that it may appear in the practice as a practice in the future. Gavin, what does AFK mean? What does that stand for?
Oh, buddy. Well, now that you have a PC, you need to understand that AFK means away from keyboard.
Oh,
Uh,
didn't know that. It sounded more
um,
extreme, like they just went rogue or something, like they're communists now. Like sound like way more extreme than I'm just away from my keyboard.
no, it's like, yeah, I got to pee, AFK.
Okay.
Don't let anyone kill me for a minute. I'm AFK. That's I think this is totally fucking doable, dude.
Right.
Like, especially with like genetic algorithms have come so far. It's one thing for a computer to try and learn and figure the shit out on itself, but if it can watch you and figure out how you react in certain scenarios, it should be very doable. I know Microsoft was messing around with this back with what was it, Forza? They had Drivatars, right? Where
Right.
you could have
Yeah.
your ghost racing against people.
Mhm.
It's very well in the realm of possibility. The one thing it sort of can't do, is that so you look at, it's learning on you, and especially like a fighting game. I think a fighting game is very doable, kind of learning your habits. Do you react to this stuff? How late do you react to this stuff? How often are you doing reads versus hard reads or whatever the other predictions? So it'd be easy to learn that, but the thing is, so let's say, on a higher level, right? And maybe you won't be able to do this, and maybe that's fine, but on a higher level, when you're playing a fighting game, right, you can train your opponent, right? You keep doing the same move, and then when you do that move, you immediately do another move, and eventually your opponent's going to go aha, right? And they're gonna try and counter that, and the second they counter that, you do something else, or you sort of download
Mm,
their play style into your mind. I don't think they're going to be able to combine those two message, which kind of sucks because in fighting games, they do have more genetic algorithms in fighting games for years and years and years. So the opponent can learn when you do that combo, and they'll start to counter that. So it's sort of, can you do both? Can you do both copying your playstyle and learning on top of that? Is that necessarily fair? Maybe not. But for a lot of other games, it'd probably be pretty fair, and I certainly think it's neat. It's just tough though, right? Like I think there was talk of League of Legends doing that for a while, um, which would have been terrible because it sucks that yeah, you have a guy that's sitting back at base, but at least he's not running out into the field and fucking dying. The AI, even on its hardest setting in League of Legends, is fucking garbage.
mm.
So sending somebody out to just feed the other team, it's really going to depend from game to game, for sure. But I think it's neat. I think in Fortnite it'd be fine. There are plenty of games, racing games would be fine. Um, it sucked because you never know. Like, did they really win or was that the computer that won?
That's true.
I don't really know. But
Yeah,
it's certainly something.
yeah, that really benefits just by keeping that whole kind of thing going where it's like you don't have that loss of, oh, your player's gone, your friend's gone. Maybe it's more noticeable when you're playing with your buddy, but like if it's just like a massive, say like Call of Duty Warzone, or you mentioned Fortnite, where it can just kind of keep the flow going and not necessarily bots, but it's just copying the gameplay of that person who's already playing enough to finish the round. It's not going to replace players, across the board, but maybe it helps to bridge that gap when someone does quit and you're like mid game. It just at least finishes it for you, and then yeah. But I guess that does get weird. What if you end up winning the match with this AI buddy, or the AI buddy wins the match? Does it just say like, "Hey, you suck. The computer beat you"? Like I don't know what it does with
Right.
that,
Right.
but
Yeah, it's interesting. It'd be interesting too, like to see. I think it could work very well a lot of times for co-op games. But that being said, like that gives me flashbacks to playing, um, Diablo back in the days with our friends Billy and Andy consistently, every time, I'd kill a bunch of enemies and you just run through and take all the gold and fuck off. So is the AI gonna
what?
grab all the gold and fuck off? Like
It would have to be traditional with what that player was doing. So it'd have to also be an asshole, just like the player was.
at that, but yeah, so you could have that, but it'd be cool, it'd be neat if, let's say, we played through Gears 5 co-op, right? We played through Gears 5, have fun, and maybe one day I want to play it, but you can't really do it, but it still kind of copies your behavior. That'd be pretty cool. If this thing's still just a head-shotting machine,
Right.
um, it's got your AI.
Also,
Yeah, I'm
it may
down.
not even have to like replace the player. What if your data your internet connection goes down quite a bit, and it just like keeps the flow going by switching to AI mode, and then when you actually snap back in, it just gives you full control. Like I wonder if it just helps with keeping the connection standard too, without just like fully replacing the player to begin with.
I think that's totally doable. I think that's very, very doable. You'd probably have like a small hitch, right? When it
Sure.
first happens, like, oh shit, we got to load up all this code. to go based on this because you can't keep having that in the CPU all the time or in your RAM. But
Mm,
um, I think it also, for now, for this console generation, I think it's going to be limited to, replacing AI for one player alone. I don't
gotcha.
think you could do this for two, three, anything past one. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's gonna depend on game to game. And I think somebody's gonna put in a game that they shouldn't have. It's gonna get pushback. Um, and then we're gonna find a happy balance. Yeah, I think that's super neat. Give me
Yeah.
my drive guitar. Uh,
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's been done in a rudimentary way, so why not?
yeah,
Sky's the limit.
yeah.
With the power of the PS5 and Xbox Series X, now we can do this.
I think it'd be cool. I mean, it'd be kind of neat too, just for training to beat your buddy. You're playing up against them in your Mario Karts or what have you. Not that Sony has a Mario Kart, but it'd be a fun way of practicing to whoop that ass.
Right.
And it'd be even neat for, can professional fighting games players do this where they play against sort of, that person. That being said, again, these people adapt. That's a huge thing in fighting games. You
Yeah.
adapt. You're not playing your character. You're not fighting a character. You're fighting a person with a personality and all that shit.
Right.
Um, so it'd be neat.
Yeah.
Be hella neat. Of course, then these people gonna be playing offline because they don't wanna deal with that shit, but they can't play offline because they need to play against people. Ah!
Yeah. Nice, Gavin. Well, yeah, that was a meaty episode. We're at the end here. We'll end it
Kurt?
there. Girthy, oh yeah, would satisfy us both, I would say. Gavin, where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at DrunkDevs.
Awesome, and you can keep up with the show as well on Plastic Heart Pod on Twitter as well. That's it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.